So hello everyone, welcome once again to Riding Tiger with Arijit, and of course today I've got an amazing guest with us. And guess what? She's from UK. Paulina, welcome to Riding Tiger.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed your summit recently, and I'm really happy to be speaking with you now, Arijit.
Super. So for the audience, once again, what is Riding Tiger with Arijit and why this show is named as Riding Tiger? Tiger is actually a metaphor. People who take a risk in their life, they start their own venture, and when they adopt it as a cub, it is a feeding that they do. That feeding they do is with milk, which is not very harmful. It's a small baby, so it's actually growing step by step, just like your business, with the intention that someday it will grow and you will start riding on the top of it. And when you start, it's a huge risk because it's becoming basically a hungry tiger, and you need to feed it eventually, step by step. You can't overfeed it. It will become really heavy. It can't run smooth and fast. So there is a science, there is an art which is involving people who are entrepreneurs, who are crazy enough, fearless enough to adopt a tiger and start riding. So Paulina is such kind of personality who started her life with some kind of risk-taking appetite. Not only that, she is helping a lot many other startups to grow, raise, and probably move things forward in their risky life. Paulina, talking about milk, talking about meat, what you had in your breakfast today?
No milk, no meat, actually, but I had omelette made with egg whites, a sweet potato, and peas. Really nice.
Super. So you're full now. It's like around daytime. So is it like you had your few bit of meal, or you're hungry with me?
I had my second meal, so I'm on this kind of protein-rich diet. So I need to make sure I've got timely meals, and I'm taking in enough nutrition and protein, and I'm also exercising loads. So yeah, really health conscious at this time in my life. Loving it.
Super. That means, Paulina, you are actually willing to work more for the community, work more for yourself, work more for much more entrepreneurs so that they can grow more. For that, you need a healthy life and you need a healthy body. So you're actually taking care of your own body as well, right?
Absolutely. You have to invest first in yourself, and you need to take care of your own needs, keeping your cup full to begin with, so that you can fill other people's cups and you can serve the community and you can be out there in the world creating great things.
Amazing. Now that calls for a different question from me, honestly speaking. Well, I know you personally from World Leader Summit. You had an amazing speaking slot, but I would love to understand from more deeply what you do. And when I'm talking about you are working for the community, you are working for the entrepreneurial ecosystem, could you please enlighten our audience about what are those sectors that you are working and how exactly you are impacting the world? Please.
Absolutely. So 11 years ago, I started my second company called GrantTree, granttree.co.uk, operating here in London. And we specialize in getting government grants, so equity-free funding into tech, startups and scale-ups. And to date, we've raised over 200 million worth of government funding for our clients. So that's one hat that I'm wearing. I'm also wearing an angel investor hat, as you do, Arijit. And there, I've invested in 12 businesses to date. I really enjoy it. I'm investing small amounts still. I'm really planning and hoping to invest more as my wealth accumulates, because that is the way in which I love giving back to the entrepreneurial community, supporting founders. People have supported me on my journey, so I want to support others. And I find it really exciting as well. So that's also what I do. And thirdly, I have a book coming out It's called Laid Bare, What the Business Leader Learned from the Stripper. The provocative title because I actually used to do burlesque as a hobby. At some point in my journey as a businesswoman, I just felt so tired of being in my head all the time. I just needed to do something crazy, creative, just for me. So I went on a burlesque course. And actually, my leadership changed and evolved as a result of performing as a showgirl. So I talk about this in my book. It's actually available for pre-orders now. You can check it out on paulinatenner.com/book. I might actually post it in the comment box. It's probably the most unusual business book you'll ever read.
I'm sure about it. I'm sure about it. So what we're going to do, we're going to post this link into our social media
Thank you.
handles so that people can check it out. But talking about the same, I understand that you are more of a creative lady who wanted to hop into the financial world and then try to marry between the creativity with the logic and finance. So
Absolutely. You couldn't have put it better. So I do believe that we're both comprised of like two sides when it comes to our leadership. So there is the yin and yang, the so-called masculine and so-called feminine. So there is the side which is about logic, ambition, go-getter, drive, decision-making, competitiveness. And there is the side which is about intuition, creativity, kind of leading into things and problems, and listening and surrendering, and playfulness as well. And I love finding ways every day of my life actually of living both and kind of deploying both in my leadership and in my daily life as a human. And I find that very, very rewarding. I actually talk about a lot about those kind of dynamics between masculine and feminine leadership parts within us in the second part of my book. It's something I'm very, very interested in, passionate about.
Super. Talking about leadership and talking about when we look at leadership, when we look at this logical part with creativity,
Yes.
and when you take decision, it actually gives us a complete different dimension altogether, Paulina.
Yes.
And I do the same, and I can completely relate what you are actually doing. So I have a small question for you. When you take a decision, like probably you are investing in a startup, maybe in the earlier stage, maybe I don't know, maybe you are investing in a pre-revenue stage.
Yeah.
So how will you take the decision? How will you actually define that, okay, this is the company, this is the team I want to invest in, and probably handshake and grow and help them to grow? How do you?
Yeah, of course, very good question. So I do invest both in pre-revenue and post-revenue. If it's a pre-revenue startup, I need to be confident that they have enough of a not actual traction, but enough of an interest. So expressions of interest, letter of intent, like enough, they've generated enough demand, even though they don't have the product ready yet, for me to be confident they're actually going to be successful commercially. And there's like so many. I recently did a whole presentation on kind of angel investing and different models you could choose to deploy to evaluate a startup. But the way I tend to do it, first of all, it's important that the introduction comes to me from a trusted source. So I typically, if somebody introduces to me a company saying that they have invested already, or it's kind of they've vetting the startup in some way, that's really helping. So I don't unfortunately have time to always kind of reply to LinkedIn messages and people who are just sending me pitch decks, which there are a lot of. And I will first of all focus on founders. So founders first. Who are they as people? Have they run startups before? Have they worked together before? What expertise and experience do they have? Is there a kind of a founder market fit, meaning that the founder or the founding team have experienced the problem themselves or have like deep knowledge of the market they're working with? So founders first. I would say idea and execution second. So how good is the idea? How are they going about the execution? What is their unfair advantage that they have over their competition? Very important. And also, probably third, market. So how big is the market? How attractive is the market? Is it a growing market? Is it a competitive market? Is it a saturated market? So if I don't know a particular market well enough, I will get in touch with people in my network who do and get some advice from them, because of course I've invested in products that I didn't have expertise in this very particular niche, but at least I made an effort to reach out to people who knew more about that market than I did. So that'll be it in a big shortcut,
It's not a shortcut, it's basically the way. And in fact, I sometimes follow such kind of structure as well. Even though in today's world, Paulina, if you look at the social media, it's very hard for anybody to understand who is doing what. There are a lot of floated information which
Yeah.
you and probably both of us we see that almost every day.
Yeah.
Reality versus the myth, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about the same, what is your suggestion to maybe the existing companies? I shouldn't say startups only, maybe the 5-year-old company or maybe 6-year-old company who is decent, they are doing fine, but sometimes they over fluctuate themselves, overshow themselves in social media in such a way that it's not very nice for investors to really understand what they do and how they do it. What is your suggestion for them?
Sorry, because I'm not sure I quite got that. So what's my advice to people that don't understand what they're doing in business?
Yeah. What they do, like.
Yeah. Well, first of all, all entrepreneurs are in that boat, or more or less all entrepreneurs. So it's all about jumping out of the plane and building a parachute on the way down. It is about learning on the go. So you are going to learn things about your market and about how to run a business in the process of running this business. You could do an MBA, you could do all sorts of courses, but nothing is going to prepare you for it. In terms of like being able to foresee all the problems and things that arise. So don't be disheartened by challenges and problems that arise. In fact, my experience of scaling the business is just that the horizon of problems expands the bigger your problem gets. So that's just the reality, unfortunately. But you can mitigate that risk of failing due to unforeseen challenges by, for example, being in a trusted support network of other founders who can give you advice, who have been there. I have worked with mentors and advisors kind of pretty much all my career, and those have always been people I look up to, people that are way more experienced than I am, and who can help me kind of see where things might go and help me predict what problems might arise way before they arise. And sometimes, to be really honest, I haven't listened to the advice. I kind of followed what I thought was right, and I learned that way, and then I was like, oh shit, I should have listened to that advice all those months ago. But it's just human nature, I think. So surround yourself by people who are more experienced and more successful than you are, and who you aspire to be like in years to come. And have a kind of trusted founder community, ideally people that you can confide in, so that there are people on your, because being a founder can be quite a lonely place. So it's important that there are people in your life, ideally founders themselves, because they'll be able to understand you better, who you can unload to sometimes and say, listen, because sometimes it may feel like you need to keep up a brave face, in front of your team, in front of investors, maybe in front of clients. And it's important that there are people in your life where you don't have to keep a brave face, where you can say, listen, I am really struggling with this right now. And maybe not even looking for advice, but just be able to confide in them and just say, this thing has really not turned out as I hoped it would be. I'm kind of struggling to figure out what my next steps are, because entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, and there are going to be plenty of ups and downs, and having a right support network is absolutely crucial for your well-being.
Super. And when you're speaking, you know what, I can see that you are visualizing your speech. You're not speaking just like a speech, and you're actually visualizing. You are watching pictures. Maybe you are watching your life, or maybe your experience. So when I made that statement, I'm not making the statement just watching your eyes. I'm just understanding where you're coming from. The experience is actually talking. Now, when I made that statement, you are a creative person by nature. That's what I have understood. Okay.
I am,
And when we like me, I draw, I paint. I take.
Wow, I did not know this about you. I would love to see some of your works. Very impressed. Huge respect.
We'll share for sure. So when people like us, we usually look at anything, we try to visualize rather than thinking differently. Like normally people probably see that from the perspective of numbers. We see that from the perspective of maybe creativity plus numbers. Now, talking about the same, how you are impacted from your earlier life when you used to do many creativity, you used to dance, probably, I don't know, maybe you used to sing. I'm
absolutely
sure you used to do that. So how exactly you feel that gave you an empowerment of thinking? For all the audience, a lot of you feel that singing or dancing is just like a normal skill set. It's not. When you're dancing, your entire body is listening to your brains and neurons. It's not that easy. You can't think something else and you are performing exactly. You can't do that. Same with singing. At the same time, when you are investing, you are taking a decision, and probably at the same time you're thinking, okay, you know what? I have a puppy in my house and I need to feed it, and I'll take a decision. Probably you need to think otherwise. You need to be very specific. You need to be probably more logical and practical. So do you feel your creativity skill set, which you have, is helping you to take decisions in your life? And probably, is this the reason that you are more and more helping others to get the grants, not only as a business, but probably from the perspective of giving back?
I think creativity has played a huge part in my role, in my life. And I have to say that there have been times when I neglected it. So before I started dancing burlesque, there was a time, maybe 2 or 3 years into the development of my current business, that I felt quite burnt out. And I felt I was in a world of logic and mind all day long, speaking to CEOs and founders of companies and financial directors and whoever else. And it felt like I was really forgetting the juicy, rebellious, thirsty for life, extraordinary part of me that I used to love so much. I sang through my kind of teens and 20s, and I danced, and I used to do so many things, and I was like, this is dying away. I can't believe it. Who am I becoming? It was like a moment of reflection, and there was a day of particular frustration. I remember like it was yesterday when I was like in Piccadilly Circus in central London, and I was walking past this club that is kind of, I think, no longer there, called Café de Paris. And I just saw a glimpse of a burlesque rehearsal, and like all these girls with sequins and glitter, and I was like, isn't this fabulous? Like, I could live that life. And and then I thought to myself, like, why not? Like, I could live that life right now. I don't have to give up business. This is something I could, like, there surely must be ways to learn how to be a showgirl. So I researched it. I found out that there are actually some burlesque schools in London. And I was like, I'm signing up. And I signed up for a course, then did a couple more courses, and it turned out to be one of the biggest adventures of my life, like literally. And is it helping me? Oh boy, it's just making me more happy, more balanced. It's just, as I say, helping me to employ the different, more feminine side in my leadership. Feminine, what I mean by that, it's not related to gender, it's more related to kind of yin. So those qualities around intuition, playfulness, creativity. It's making me a better listener. It's really yeah, it's really transforming my leadership. It really is. I'm no longer one of those founders that I used to be, I think, quite a few years ago. Very dry, ambition, goal oriented, not a very good listener. And I think so many more people could use, particularly if they want to grow as leaders in business, going back to whatever they used to love in their childhood, in their teenagehood. It could be a weird little hobby. It could be, I don't know, constructing aeroplanes from cardboard. It could be something weird. Do it. Integrate it into your existence, into your leadership, and you'll be surprised to see how you start to show up in the world differently because you have embraced that kind of creative, wacky, maybe even freaky part of yourself.
So you feel that you are kind of a little bit of crazy, or
Absolutely. I've got a massive crazy side to me. Totally. Absolutely. Being on stage as a burlesque girl is all about having the most ridiculous costume, the funniest stage gags, being self-ironic, making fun of yourself, of the audience. The more you can do that, the bigger the applause that you'll receive. So absolutely, I'm totally crazy, Arijit.
so you know what?
Also, I'm also quite logical, so I have a bit of both, like you said.
No, crazy people are logical. I will tell you. I'll give you that
Yeah.
analogy. in in my life, I'm so sorry about my voice today.
No,
In my life, people used to call me as mad, M-A-D, mad.
love it.
So English is a funny language. What I did, I said, call me mad, because mad is M for moderate, A for accurate, and D for determined. So people
Love it.
who are crazy and mad, they are the
Yeah.
doers. So high
Yeah.
five to you. We are the doers.
Yeah. And I also, I'll tell you a little secret. So in my relationship with my husband, who was also my co-founder on my second business, we actually love the word stupid. We call each other stupid sometimes, but as a compliment, like, you stupid person. And stupid means like bold, means ridiculous, means like empowered. There used to be this like diesel advert, smart has the brains, but stupid has the balls, something like that. And I like, in my word, like, stupid is not derogatory. Stupid is actually like, you're out there, you're like doing your thing, you're not caring, don't have a care in the world what other people are thinking. And I love it. I admire it. Actually, I love crazy people.
Super. So I'll change this question in a little bit of different direction now.
Mm-hmm.
How did you found your best part in life, which is your better half? How did you find your husband?
Yeah, so I would like to think I'm the better half, but actually a startup event. So it was at some
Oh,
point, yes. So at some point in my life, after I split up with my previous partner, I just knew, I had a hunch that my next partner would be from the startup world. They wouldn't be a corporate, they would be a startup-y person. I just had a hunch, I knew. And I wasn't looking for anyone or anything like that. I was single, super happy, enjoying myself, growing my first business. And then I attended this, it was a launch of a company called Internships and an after party of a startup conference in a club in Soho. And I was like going really wild on the dance floor. And he told me, because he was watching me, and he told me afterwards what he thought. And he thought to himself, this woman is either completely off her face on drugs, or an interesting person. I need to find out. so he approached me and he started talking to me. I gave him my business card, and the rest is history.
rest is history. So again, we can connect dance and startup in your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is your life. So, but how do you relax, Paulina? We all need to relax. As an entrepreneur, I feel we are alone in any way. When we sleep,
Absolutely. Yeah, so
we are
I'll
all
tell
alone.
you, Arijit, like, my self-care is my top priority these days because, and I'm very outspoken about it, I've suffered from mental health challenges since teenagehood as well. So it's like the depression, anxiety, eating disorders. So it's really, really crucial to me in my adult life that I really take care of myself very well. So I've got several things that I do. So I exercise quite a bit, and that's fabulous for my body, for getting into my body, away from my thoughts and from my mind, kind of channeling that energy. I have a massage every week, something that I really, really enjoy again. I have a really lovely group of friends that I talk to, that I meet up with, who can hear me out, and who I can really be myself with. So whether I'm feeling super happy or I'm down in the dumps, they accept me, they love me for who I am. I recently got 2 small kittens, and those kittens have been like better for my mental health than I could have ever anticipated. They're just like so playful and so present and in the moment, that when you just hold them or you just look at them playing, you can't help but smile. So I really recommend getting a pet. If any of the listeners is hesitating whether to get one, absolutely go for it. So multiple ways I relax. I also have sometimes what I call sleeping detoxes. So I sleep just for as long as it takes, even if it's until 12 or 1 p.m. Does not matter as much as my body needs. Sometimes that's what I need, and I accept it. I do my best to eat really healthily. So like I mentioned, I'm on this kind of like really nutritious, protein-rich diet at the moment, where I have like 5 or 6 small meals a day, and it just really keeps my energy balanced. It's really been really good for my health, the right nutrition, really, because I never paid so much attention to it. I would eat whatever on the go, and right now I'm actually doing much more cooking at home, and it helps. It takes time, admittedly, so I'm kind of already thinking about outsourcing it. My entrepreneurial mind is like, oh, maybe I can get someone on TaskRabbit to do it for me. But home cooked food, brilliant. And time with family, loved ones, absolutely essential. I actually am on the phone to my family and my parents in Poland most nights, just to say hi and say a little prayer together, because we both them and I are quite spiritual, so we like to connect in that way, like say a little prayer, connect, say hello. We just started it maybe a year ago, and we've kept it up like most nights. Sometimes when I have an event or something, I'll text them to say I'm not available tonight, but most nights I'm on the phone to them for like 10-15 minutes.
Super. When we talk about spirituality and God,
Mm-hmm.
question to you, what is God for you?
Oh my days, what a question, Arijit. I could write a book about this, and it's like, where do you even start? Okay, so I grew up as a Catholic. My spirituality has really kind of expanded to kind of encompass Tantra, even elements of shamanism, and I've read up on Buddhism and different things. So I still consider myself a Christian. I actually go to church weekly, but my spirituality is kind of much wider, and I'm so much more embracing and accepting of whatever spiritual paths people are on than probably I used to be growing up. God to me is just an all-encompassing river of love that I just want to be in tune with, and I want to be part of. And that means what you pointed to, being of service to others. So I definitely derive a lot of meaning in my life from being useful and being of service to others. And whenever I feel really low, depleted, I lack faith in myself, which sometimes happens, I remind myself that maybe it's time to look at doing something good for somebody else, to find that meaning again. An all-encompassing cosmic river of love. That's how I would define God.
Super. What is love for you?
So many different things, because love is an energy that kind of runs through the universe, and all decisions that we made are kind of based on love or fear, really. Sometimes kind of weird mix of both, I find sometimes, but it's also a commitment. So I'm just, as it happens, like tonight I'm celebrating 12 years with my husband, 12 years of knowing each other. So we met in that club in Soho exactly 12 years ago, and it's also a commitment. So it's not just a fleeting emotion, it's just something that you act on every day, and that you commit it to. Absolutely. It's a desire, like a really overwhelming desire for the best possible thing to happen to that person or that thing that you love. So just desire to really to see them, if it's a person, for example, to see them being aligned with their highest self. And I think that's what, in my marriage, I'm kind of blessed that we both really want to help elevate each other to that kind of higher self, and we both kind of see and appreciate talents in the other, and that's beautiful. So that's what love is. Love is an energy, but also a commitment, also a vibration, a frequency of sorts. When you're on it, when your heart is open, you can feel love towards anything, towards the entire universe, a stone, a tree, when you're on that frequency, which I have experienced quite a few times. So yeah. What is love to you?
Well, I have a different opinion, basically. So God for me is nature. It's everywhere and it's nowhere. So God is a pure energy, which doesn't have any kind of starting or ending. It doesn't have any shape. It's not she, it's not he. It's actually eternal, and it is us. So if we consider love is more of a connection which we cherish, and love is more of, you can say, a connection with nature, in God. And sometimes we try to find love in other human being, be that male or female, or maybe a third.
But it's within us, right?
Yeah, between us. And that love cannot be defined by sex. That's different. That's a human desire. But when you love someone, you don't need to name it with a name like brother, sister, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. No, these are the terms that common ordinary people, they usually use. Love doesn't have any kind of name. It has only the pure energy connection which you are defining. We shouldn't try to put names in each and every connection that we create. Sometimes we create relationships which doesn't have any name. We call it as a friendship. Friendship doesn't have, I mean, don't you feel that friendship have love? Without love, you can't have friendship. You can't. Friendship is probably much more stronger than maybe a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, maybe a husband-wife relationship. Sometimes you have a friend in your life with whom you can probably share your entire life. And it may happen that you can't do it with your girlfriend or boyfriend.
Sometimes you're friends for someone through decades. You've changed partners multiple times, but you've stayed friends with them for decades. So I know what you're talking about.
So that's one part of love. And there is another part, which is probably you already touched upon, which is affection. Like when you are enjoying with your kittens, or maybe if I'm enjoying with my dog, or maybe, something else, it's an animal. It's a pure love. They are sometimes, they come to you, they don't need food. They don't come to you for any kind of food. Even I love, dogs who are from the road, like they are not that sophisticated, roadside dogs. They come to me just to have some kind of affection. Maybe I'll pat him in his back, or maybe I'll just put a hand in its head. It's happy, super happy. He'll lick you and he will just go away. He's happy. So that's probably one of the pure love that we can ever think of. I never ever feed that animal, to be very honest. I never ever probably call that one. But he is coming to my house just to see myself, look at my eyes, and do a sound and say that please hug me or please love me.
Animals are pure love. They remind us of what pure love really is, and how unconditional it is, and how natural it is as well. It exists within every one of us. Like when we strip the layers, it's there. It really is. That's what I believe.
That's there in Buddhism. That's there probably in Christianism. That's there in Hinduism. We all talked about a very simple line like, you love the nature, nature will give you 10 times back. So probably sometimes we can relate completely to it. And I
Yeah,
never knew that you are spiritual, and we are talking in this manner probably for the first time. And
it's
I'm
beautiful.
totally loving it. Totally loving it.
Yeah, me too. Isn't it amazing that when a business connection kind of transcends business and logic and goes to a whole different level? I really, really love it when that happens. So thank you for this conversation. Yeah.
Okay, let me shift a little bit. What do you love most? You love seaside or you love the mountains?
Both. I love variety in my life, and same, I'm like both a I'm from Poland, which is a country in kind of Central Eastern Europe, and we have sea in the north and mountains in the south. And I love skiing in the winter. So actually, I'm going to France with a group of friends for a skiing trip in January, which I'm really looking forward to. And I do love a bit of a beach holiday during the summer. I love that too. So yeah, everything. Give me it all. Yeah.
Super. Next question to you. Who is your superhero?
Hmm. Um, there are many of them, and there are just people, ordinary people who do little kind of acts of kindness and things that are kind of service to others. So I tend to notice, and I train myself consistently to notice like things that other people do that I admire. So I'm not sure if I would point you to any specific example, because I could say, there are some women in fintech, for example, in London who I admire. Like one of them is Eileen Burbage, but it's probably going to be not so meaningful to most of the listeners. You could be my hero tomorrow if you do something that genuinely inspires me.
Which means that you are more of a kind of person who relate things from ground reality in the mortal world, and people who
Yeah.
are doing some kind of disruption should be taken as a superhero.
Yeah.
Then how will you define a movie star? Common people call them as heroes. In your
Yeah.
opinion, whom we should cherish and nourish
Yeah.
as our heroes?
Yeah, it's people in our lives that do things that genuinely inspire us, uplift us to think on a different level, to think on a different scale. People that, and just little acts of kindness. Somebody just being kind of me for no reason in a coffee shop. Like today, I had this random conversation with this guy who comes to this coffee shop that I come to, and I'm like, I thought to myself, "You're my angel." I should have maybe said it to him, but he's just so. When I see him, he's so full of life and just. I don't know. There's something beautiful about this man. This life is full of little events and opportunities for us to get inspired, and it's up to us whether we notice those things and kind of keep them in our hearts, or whether we pass them by. So yeah.
Great. A last question. I'm not going to ask too many questions to you.
Hmm.
A small feedback for all those people who will be listening to us, because this is
Yeah.
a recording version which will go to a couple of more podcasts.
Yeah.
For your suggestion to people, number one, who wants to start their journey, their entrepreneurial journey. Number two, a general message to all the audience who want to probably become a leader in their own life. What will be your suggestion? What will be your message?
People who want to start a business and people who want to become a leader in their own life. So if you're looking to start a business, my piece of advice is just do it. So there is no way, of course, there's a lot to be said for doing your research and getting ready and having ideally some cash saved, so you're not too financially stressed, etc., etc. But don't think that there's going to be somehow, in 2, 3, 5 years time is going to be a better time in your life to do it. You just need to throw yourself into it, because unless you do that, you might just spend your entire life just waiting for that right moment. And as I said before, there is no better preparation and no better business training than actually being in business. So do it. If you're feeling you're really lacking confidence, do it in small steps. So maybe reduce your working hours or your daytime job and start doing something on the side. or have a project that you do in your outside of your working hours, but do something that calls you, that you feel passionate about. Wherever you in the world you see an opportunity for you to be of service and for you to contribute. And people that want to be leaders in their own lives. Well, first of all, know yourself. So get to know yourself really, really well, because that is, I think, a foundation for being able to love yourself. If you know yourself, and you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, it's just becomes easier to really embrace all that you are. And that's how I embraced, my burlesque, crazy side and my business side. And, loving yourself is a lifelong journey and something that you need to train, because beliefs follow actions. So if you really want to have that self-love, you need to act with self-love towards yourself every day. And I think when you're in that place of self-love, which is something that you need to continually work on, and something I'm still working on, you will know what it is that you need to do to step into your true leadership. Your intuition, your heart, God, universal force, however you want to define it, will tell you, will give you signs. So all you need to do is cultivate that self-knowledge first, build on that foundation to have self-love, and just be open for the universe to really communicate to you what it is, where it is that you, with your unique skill set, with your unique kind of set of life experience, where it is that you can be of service and where it is that you can really shine in the world. So that's what I would say.
Beautiful. Paulina from Poland, it's an honor for me to host you in my
What
talk
an interesting
show.
conversation, right? Loved it. Thank you.
My pleasure. So stay tuned and please keep blessing us. We can see that from the live that you have already shared a couple of things. I'm so blessed and honored that all of you are watching us. And please feel free to check her book. I'm going to put that into the comment box. Please share, please go for the purchase. You're actually watching a woman who is a self-made leader, investor, entrepreneur, change maker, and of course, a great human being. Thank you for being with
so
me.
much. One last thing I wanted to mention, Arijit, maybe also worth putting in the show notes, that if there are any entrepreneurs and founders listening, obviously get pitched ideas all the time, and I don't always have a lot of time to listen to people to give them feedback. But in the run up to the launch of my book, which is on the 7th of January, I decided to open up my diary to entrepreneurs. So if you decide to pre-order my book, and it's £12.99 on Amazon, it's not going to break the bank, send me a screenshot to this email address, me@paulinatenner.com, and I promise to find a time slot in my diary before Christmas to give you 30 minutes, either coaching or feedback on your pitch, on your idea, help you in whatever way I can. So that's something I'm offering at the moment.
Super. Looking forward. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.